Okay, guys, I want to apologize for being late with this particular video. Initially, I had filmed a long 45-minute, 50-minute long, I forget exactly how long it was, but I filmed a really long thing that reviewed Payback, NXT TakeOver, Maleficent, and talked about the big thing that happened on Raw this week. And I did all that in one video, and the whole thing was like 45 minutes long, give or take a few minutes. And I was going to post it probably Tuesday, I think. I went back and watched some of it and decided that it was absolutely terrible and it was boring as hell and I could not post it. I was really tired when I filmed it and it kind of showed. So I decided not to post it, and what you're going to get now is a very truncated, shortened version of what I had originally filmed, and hopefully better, because what I initially filmed was pretty awful. I'm very judgmental of my videos. But speaking of my videos, before I get into anything wrestling or movie related, regarding the future of my channel, I want to let you all know now that this will actually be my last video for the next few weeks. With WrestleMania season and all the videos I did then, and all the Godzilla videos I did, and all the movie reviews like Spider-Man and X-Men and Captain America and all the other stuff that I tried to cram in there, and all the super long videos I've done, which people seem to like, but they've kind of worn me out, and I feel like I'm kind of burnt out. Again, building off how I sounded really tired in that last video that you're never going to see and has already been deleted, actually, but I'm just really kind of burnt out. I need a break. I need to take a breath of fresh air and kind of recharge the batteries and then come back, hopefully better than ever. So my plan is to take the next few weeks off from making videos, which is actually really good timing because I'm really involved in a really big project at work. So I'll have more time to dedicate to that. You know, take the next few weeks off, and maybe July 4th weekend I'll have another video up, and we'll have probably seen a Ring of Honor, the next Ring of Honor show that's coming up. I will have seen the next few episodes of Raw to see how the whole big angle played out, which I'll cover the Seth Rollins turn in a couple minutes, but hopefully when I come back in a month I'll have a lot to talk about, and I think I will. So, that good with everybody? When I come back, I also plan on doing a question and answers video, because I haven't done that in a while, and I have a couple of ideas for SummerSlam videos. Nothing on the level of what I did for WrestleMania, but I have a couple of ideas of what I want to do for SummerSlam. So, and I think I should be back in time for Money in the Bank. When is that? I don't know. I don't know the actual date of Money in the Bank, but at the very least, I'll either have plenty to talk about going in, or I will have a nice review for you when I get back. So, either or, I'll be talking about Money in the Bank. So, yeah, I hope I'm not disappointing anybody by saying I'll be gone for a month, but them's the breaks, and you'll do fine without me, I think. But yeah, to get into the rest of the good stuff, I'm going to keep this part short. I saw Maleficent this past weekend. I said in my end of the year video for 2013 that this was one of the movies I was most interested in seeing, just because I thought the concept of it was so interesting, and I am a huge fan of the original Sleeping Beauty. It was actually my favorite Disney movie when I was really young, like 4 years old. So I was interested in seeing this, but as I stated a couple of weeks ago, I was kind of losing my faith in this movie, and yeah, this movie sucked. It wasn't good. It basically took the original Sleeping Beauty, wiped its ass with it, and said, okay, we're retconning everything and making our own movie. Bad fan fiction, the movie. And that's basically what they did. I didn't mind Angelina Jolie's performance. She was actually one of the only good things about it, but watching her act was like watching a woman that's 8 months pregnant try to climb a mountain. I mean, it's impressive, and I appreciate the effort, but you can't save... You can't accomplish the goal because the bad writing and the bad script is weighing you down too much. So, yeah, Maleficent wasn't very good. I was so close to having all 5 of my movies that I wanted to see be really good, you know. Godzilla was the movie I've wanted since I was 3 years old. X-Men knocked my socks off. Captain America knocked my socks off. And the Muppet movie was good. It wasn't fantastic, but as a Jim Henson fan, it made me happy. But you get those bad movies once in a while. Spider-Man was a piece of shit, but I kind of knew that was going to be a shitty movie, so that one didn't bother me as much. Maleficent, I legitimately felt like they had the opportunity to do something good, and they kind of dropped the ball. But got other movies to look forward to. Guardians of the Galaxy looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. How to Train Your Dragon 2 should be good, although the trailer gave away way too much. I feel like I already saw the movie based on the trailer. That trailer just gave away way too much. What else? Edge of Tomorrow actually looks interesting, and apparently it's good. Like, the early buzz is that it's actually really good, so which is kind of surprising. Because normally, sci-fi movies that aren't a part of a franchise, and even a lot of ones that are part of a franchise, typically don't... they might look good in previews, but they don't actually turn out all that well. But this one looked good, and apparently the buzz is that it is good, so I'm sure to see that. Kyle Enjoys Wrestling, one of my longtime viewers, made the comment, I think it was on my last video, that he's excited for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and yeah, that's a sequel I didn't even know was coming until I saw the trailer, and I was never a huge Planet of the Apes fan. I like the original just fine, but it was never one of my favorites, and I saw about 15 minutes of the Tim Burton movie and said, nope, we're done here. This movie sucks. But then I saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and I was like, wow, that was shockingly good. For a movie that I went into with low expectations, it was actually pretty good. So, all right, they want to do a sequel? I'm fine with that. Go ahead. I'll go watch it, and the trailer looked good, so we shall see. And, of course, because I'm a fan of these things, I have to watch Michael Bay rape the Dinobots and the Ninja Turtles in the same summer. What are the odds? I got that to look forward to. I mean, at the very least, I'll have a lot to talk about with both of those. I don't know if anything else big is coming out. Expendables 3, I'll definitely see that just because I need my mindless action movie. But yeah, there are plenty of good movies to look forward to, and I got plenty of good movies already. The Lego Movie was another one. I mean, Jesus, I still can't get over how good that movie was, but yeah, there's plenty of movies to look forward to, so I won't let one bad one ruin my time. But yeah, enough of the movies, let's get into wrestling. I'm not even sure where to start with the wrestling because there was so much to get through. I started watching the old Clash of Champions on the WWE Network, and it's made me really, really happy just to relive a lot of those old shows, and through the good and the bad, just to watch it again just brings back a lot of fond memories. I watched the Sting and Flair 45-minute time limit draw from the very first Clash of Champions. I saw Lex Luger's heel turn against Ricky Steamboat at 7, where he was upset with the contenders rankings, and that actually came off fairly well. Was there another one? Oh, I watched Sting and Barry Windham fight for the U.S. title. The main event of 3, I believe that was. Clash of Champions 3, yeah, and it ended in a DQ, so there was no title change or anything, but it was still a fun match to watch. So yeah, I love watching that old stuff, and I'm glad they put the Clash of Champions on there. Now, if you could just put Saturday night's main event, the full Raw archive, and the full Nitro archive, I'll be good. So, that would be a hefty bit of content, but I would be really happy if they put all that on there. But, an original show with original content that I have decided I'm going to watch every week on the WWE Network. I really haven't watched it in years, not since Daniel Bryan was a part of it, but NXT. I saw NXT TakeOver last Thursday, and I was thoroughly impressed with that show. Not just for the talents that they showcased, and yes, a lot of the talents did impress me, but just the overall presentation of the show, the way they sort of presented it like I felt like I was watching something out of the 1970s, but with a flashier, more modern look. And I kind of like that. It's very basic. There's an effort to make the wrestling and the actual wrestling make sense, where wins and losses matter in terms of determining who gets title shots and build-ups to big matches. Like, NXT TakeOver was the first NXT show I've watched, literally since the Daniel Bryan days. And it felt like, just from watching it, that this is a show that they'd been building up to for a while. And it probably hasn't been that long, but it just felt like a payoff to something, and something that they'd been building up. And I don't expect shows like that every week. You can't. I just got done watching an episode of NXT, actually, this new one. And it was nowhere near as good as NXT TakeOver was, but I didn't expect that. I wanted to see if they could continue to showcase their characters in a way that I would be interested in seeing them, and then establish conflicts, and then build up to those big matches at big shows like TakeOver. That's what I'm looking for, and it's just a good, solid, well-done wrestling show. The commentary is not annoying, which is a good thing, which is more than I can say about Raw. And what the fuck happened to JBL? I used to like JBL at the booth. Now he's just like, hey, Mago! I yell Mago all the time, Mago! And he's just gotten fucking annoying. And Cole and Lawler are just audio cancer. So to listen to William Regal and Byron Saxton, whoever the other guy is, I'm sorry, Tom Phillips, I think his name is, listening to them, I mean, they crack jokes and stuff, but they're not, like, just stabbing me in the eardrums. It's just, they're very conversational. They try to tell the stories as appropriately as possible. They try to get the guys over, get their characters over, get moves over, try to make the matches make sense through their commentary. And they're not great, but they're unintrusive, which it's sad that I have to settle for unintrusive, but that's what we have. Excuse me. But I liked, like I said, I liked the way the show was presented. I liked a lot of the characters they showcased. I am so sold on Tyler Breeze. You have no idea. I can't remember the last time I was so sold on somebody after only watching him once. And I haven't heard too many people praise this guy as... I've heard the name, but I haven't heard anybody like sing major praises of him. And just watching NXT 2 weeks in a row, I think he's the most TV ready of all the talents that they're showcasing right now. He plays his character to perfection. The music video they just did was hilarious, and I think the character's hilarious. It's like Shawn Michaels meets Gorgeous George. I mean, he's just he's colorful, he's fun to watch, he plays the character well, and he's a good wrestler. That match he had with El Generico, and yes, I'm just going to keep calling him Generico because I don't like the name Sami Zayn, but the match they had was outstanding. I thought they had the best match on the show, quite honestly, better than the main event. And that was just a great contenders match, and it showed me, it's like, all right, I'm already digging the Tyler Breeze character from the introduction. They had the ring announcer introduce him when he enters the building, which is, again, that's like old Shawn Michaels, and it's great. And the video package they did on, and by the way, the video packages they do to spotlight the wrestlers are awesome. They did one for Bo Dallas this week that basically, I felt like I got more out of Bo Dallas watching this video package than I have in the last 2 or 3 shows he's done on Raw and at Payback. It's just, it's just funny how that works. And just NXT has done a really good job of establishing and showcasing their characters. The Ascension are a cool-looking tag team. I think in the ring they're a little unpolished, but they look like the Dothraki, and they're the dominant team of the division, and they're presented as such, so I like them. And I'm interested in seeing them try to establish contenders for them and see if there is anyone that can challenge them in the tag division. But again, going back to Tyler Breeze, I was just so impressed with him, with his poise and the way he plays his character and the way he wrestles and everything. He's just fantastic. And I can't believe I haven't heard more about this guy before watching TakeOver. And I look forward to seeing more of him because I'm going to be watching NXT every week. So Tyler Breeze, he's my guy. He's my favorite guy on the show. So yeah, more of him, please. I just love it for his work and his character, and character is so important. And it really, going back to what I was kind of getting to, it's really kind of stunning how NXT is probably the best wrestling show out there. From when you look at the weekly wrestling television like Raw, SmackDown, and Impact, NXT is probably the best show because, and they're doing it with lesser talents. Like, these are the guys that are young, unpolished, and supposedly not ready for prime time yet. They're trying to get ready for prime time, and overall, it's probably the most enjoyable wrestling show out there right now. And it's, it really shows that writing, character, and presentation mean a lot to the success of a wrestling show. It isn't just about what moves you do in the ring or whether or not you have 4-star matches. It's about making me want those matches and making me interested and invested in the characters and trying to tell good stories with them. What else is there to talk about from TakeOver? The main event was alright. I wasn't as sold on it as a lot of other people were. And maybe it's just because I'm not that sold on Tyson Kidd. I think he's a really good worker and a good athlete, but him on the mic, he's just awful. And he was awful at the end of NXT this week. I just don't buy him as a character or anything, so that kind of takes away from the main event. I think Adrian Neville hasn't really gotten a chance to showcase more than just his wrestling. Because that's pretty much all I've seen from him so far, so I don't really have much of an opinion on him. Outside of the fact he's a good wrestler and a good athlete, and that's it. But I don't know anything else about him beyond that. And there's nothing in his the way he carries himself in the ring that really stood out to me, except for a couple of flashy, cool moves. But that's not be all end all. I thought the Sami Zayn, El Generico, Tyler Breeze match totally stole their thunder. I thought that match was incredible. But another incredible match was Natalya versus Charlotte for the NXT Divas or Women's Championship with Bret Hart and Ric Flair in their respective corners. And I thought that was an outstanding women's match. And it was so refreshing to see a women's match where they actually let them wrestle and form a match and put a match together where it looks like they're actually having an athletic contest and they're forming strategies and having counters and actually getting on the mat and wrestling. And it was a really fun match to watch and was really engaging, and they went out there and put on a hell of a show. And again, it's refreshing because you watch most Diva matches on Raw and it's just two girls go out there, they do some moves that look clearly rehearsed, especially the sequence that they put them in. It looks like they went out there and just performed a bunch of moves that they rehearsed like 2 or 3 hours earlier, and whether or not the moves look good depends on the girl, and then they do whatever the finish is, and that's it. And it's part of the reason why most people aren't as invested in the Divas matches, because they just kind of get the same thing every single time, and there's not a whole lot of variety, there's not a whole lot of stakes with them usually, and they usually don't involve great characters. I mean, once in a while you get an AJ Lee, but right now you've got Paige as the champion, and they've done nothing to establish her as anything. And again, I argue they put the belt on her way too soon. But yeah, I mean, this Natalya-Charlotte match is one of the best women's matches I've ever seen. And I'm trying to think of like the other great women's matches I've seen. The Survivor Series 87 match with the Jumping Bomb Angels. If you haven't seen that one, go see it. It's kind of awesome. Some of the Awesome Kong, Amazing Kong, Gail Kim matches in TNA. The Lita Trish match that main evented that one Raw, some of Lita and Mickie James's matches, not Lita, Trish and Mickie James's matches, and great storyline with that one. That's probably the best women's storyline I've ever seen. So there aren't a whole lot of great women's matches to compare it to, but you know, it's easily one of the best women's matches I've ever seen. It was just outstanding. And I like that they kept Flair and Brett out of the action. They were just kind of there to bring eyeballs to what was going on in the ring, and they put the spotlight on the two girls, and they went out there and tore it down. And Natalya really showed what she can do, because she's often been so hindered by the WWE format and WWE presentation that to see her go out there and just work her ass off and put this awesome match together, it's like, yep, Natty's good. Natty's probably the best female worker you have. You're never going to treat her like one, not on Raw anyway, but it is what it is. But yeah, really enjoyed that match, and overall, I just really enjoyed NXT TakeOver. It really sold me on the NXT brand, and now I want to watch it every week. And again, I want to see more of Tyler Breeze, and him being the #1 contender is really going to make the show fascinating for me. So, yeah, NXT, I'm going to just keep watching it and watch more. But WWE had a pay-per-view on Sunday, Payback. I enjoyed the show. It was one of those shows that wasn't built up real well, but it was one of those deals where the wrestlers went out there. It's like, all right, let's just put our maximum effort to make something out of this. I thought Cesaro and Sheamus had a really good match in the opener. I wish Cesaro had gone over, but them's the breaks. They did have a good match. I thought Barrett and RVD was okay. I thought for being an unannounced bonus match, the Rhodes Brothers versus Ryback was okay. The Divas match was boring and shitty, but whatever. What else was on this card? Rusev and Langston did a couple of cool spots, like the spear off the apron. That made it better than it had any right to be. I'm still not sold on Rusev as a character. I kind of hate that whole Ivan Drago presentation that they're going for. Yeah, I almost feel like Vince McMahon watched Rocky IV and said, that's what we're doing. And nobody told him that the movie's like 30 years old. Whatever. John Cena and Bray Wyatt went out there and had an insane match, last man standing match. They did some things to each other in this match that just made me cringe. Some of the shots they took, and that spot where Cena threw the steel steps from inside the ring to outside the ring and hit Bray in the face. I looked at that, I was like, that looks so nasty. That probably should have been the finish, because the spot they did for the finish didn't look nearly as brutal. And I don't know, that spot was just so insane, I felt like it should have been the finish. Of course, you had the Usos and the other Wyatts kind of hijack the match and kind of give their own little crazy tornado tag match in the middle of this match. And it was wild, crazy, and insane, but for a feud that I stopped giving a shit about months ago, the match was surprisingly good and surprisingly entertaining. And thank God the storyline's over. I know people are upset that Cena won, but I don't care at this point. Just end the story, because that thing was just awful and it didn't make any sense, and Bray Wyatt was only getting hurt by it more and more because the story just didn't make any sense and the characters' motivations didn't make any sense. So I'm just happy that the feud's over and done with, and Bray can hopefully move on to something better. Of course, they're hyping it up. He returned on SmackDown this week. I'm like, what? He returned? He missed one show. Give me a break. That's not a return. I mean, come on. I did enjoy the last man standing match. Shield and Evolution in the main event. It was good. It was not as good as the match they had at the last pay-per-view. I thought the bit where Evolution beat up the Shield dragged on a little too long, and the bit early in the match where they were tagging in and out, I thought, I mean, I know it's not a tornado tag, but it is no holds barred. Why are we adhering to any kind of rule structure at this point? Just let them go. I mean, you build it as no holds barred. Nobody's going to sit there and question it if they just throw the rule book out the window, which they ended up doing anyway. But that kind of, when they went into that tagging format, it kind of brought the match down to earth a little bit too much. And but for what it was an entertaining match. They gave all the members of the Shield their big hero moments, like Seth Rollins diving off the Titantron, and which was really well set up, by the way. I thought that was really awesome how they set that up. And Dean Ambrose got to eliminate Orton, and Roman Reigns got to get the decisive victory over Triple H, and the Shield pulled a clean sweep. So it was really awesome and a lot of fun to watch, and a good main event. It wasn't as good as the last match they had, but it was a good, solid pay-per-view main event. And Shield was on top of the world until Raw happened, and Seth Rollins turned heel and is revealed to have joined Evolution. And that was shocking, to say the least. I'll give them credit for shocking me. I didn't see that coming. I'll reserve judgment on this until I see how it plays out. This could turn into something really good, or it could be absolutely terrible. It could go either way. And I'm sure the thought probably crossed their minds. It'll be like when Triple H left DX and joined the corporation, ultimately put Triple H on the path to being the main eventer that he is now, or that he ultimately became. And yeah, it's a fair way of thinking it, except I still really like the Shield, and I think there was a lot more they could do with them as a trio. DX was pretty much done by the time Triple H, at least I felt so, and I wasn't a big fan of that version of DX. To me, the true version of DX is the original Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Chyna, that version of it. That's DX at its finest in my eyes, because that was when it really had its own personality. By the time you got to 99, DX was kind of... You know, it was kind of like John Cena. It's like, look, we say suck it, but we do it only to sell t-shirts. So it felt like they were pandering doofuses that just were edgier by saying suck it, I guess, and spouting catchphrases all the time. So when Triple H left them, I was more than ready to have that happen. I wasn't ready to lose the Shield yet. But another point I should make is that Seth Rollins is actually kind of the most shocking guy to betray the Shield, because as a heel... Ambrose wouldn't have been that much of a shock because he's kind of naturally a psychopath in the way he talks and everything. So if it had been him, I don't think it would have been as much of a shock. And Roman Reigns is the big guy that the WWE loves, so if they had put him in that spot and to try and give him the push, I don't think anybody would have been shocked by it. So the flashier, high-flying guy getting this spot is actually kind of shocking and makes it even more of a surprise. Again, I wasn't ready to lose the Shield, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to the Shield. It's like, oh, I can't believe it's all over now. It's like, oh, that makes me so sad. But This could turn into something interesting. We'll see where it goes. Hopefully they have a plan for Rollins, and hopefully they have plans for Ambrose and Reigns as well, because we're going to get to see how they do without the Shield, because they've all been so good in that faction and so good within the Shield that, you know, having them split off and go their separate ways is going to test them even more to see if they're able to survive on their own or if they needed to be in that faction to keep on going. And we shall see. It'll be interesting. But like I said, this could easily turn into something terrible, but it could also be good if they have a good, solid plan in place. So I'm going to tune into Raw next week. I'll give them that. At least I'm going to like tune into Raw next week going like, okay, what the fuck did I just see? I need to see what's going to happen next. So I'll give them credit for that and legitimately shocking me. But I am going to miss the Shield, and it's hard to say goodbye. What's that song they played when Ric Flair retired? Leave the memories alone. Yeah, I'm going to miss you, Shield. Going to miss you. Always believe. Always believe. But, yeah, anything else I should talk about? Oh, the WWE title situation. They did the whole segment on Payback where Brie Bella quit and basically took the piss out of... Well, I was going to say she took the piss out of Stephanie, both literally and metaphorically. I mean, she did piss herself, right? I mean, that's what that was, right? I don't know. But, yeah, that was an interesting way to go about things. And it is interesting to see how they're going to address the Daniel Bryan title situation, because it looks like they're trying to keep the title on him as long as possible. So, but if they go ahead and do this thing where the Money in the Bank ladder match is actually for the vacant title, that would actually be really cool and really fascinating to watch. And I'm happy that there's only one Money in the Bank ladder match, because to me the prize means more if there are lesser opportunities to get it. And to me, having 2 ladder matches on a pay-per-view is just overkill anyway. But yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how that plays out as well. So WWE, I mean, Raw had been in kind of a stale... I called it a stale holding pattern when I previewed Payback. But the Seth Rollins thing is interesting, and the title situation right now has an interesting thing that they can play with, depending on Bryan's ultimate status and what is ultimately going to become of him. So they've got some interesting toys to tinker with and interesting angles to play with. So I'm going to watch all of that unfold for sure. But like I said, this will be my final video for a month. Thank you all for the continued support, and I appreciate all the kind comments, and I promise you, July 4th weekend, I will return. I will be back with plenty to talk about, hopefully recharged, hopefully more excited and rejuvenated, and I'm able to do this thing with a little bit more of a spring in my step, because you would not have wanted to see the last video I filmed, and hopefully this one was better. I kind of feel like it is. But, yeah, that's all I have for now. You all have a good month. Enjoy your summer. If you're going out of town, be safe. Have fun. Go to the beach. Get some sun. Chase the ladies. Always a good idea this time of year because they wear less clothing. And it's very nice. And, yeah, you all have fun. And I will see you all when I get back.